So with that being said, let's get down to this thing, the pre-allocation theory, right? Okay, so I think we all know what the pre-allocation theory is, and then I did a couple shows on the impact of putting debt, the world's debt, in the pre-allocation theories, right? So the notion there is simply this. I'll go real briefly quick over it, right? The pre-allocation theory is that what's being held in by escrow is basically the theory I have at this point is that it will be controlled by the Fed. I believe that there's already earmarked amounts for all the certain players involved, whether it be the IMF or the BIS or the BOE, ECB. I think we all know the potential characters involved into that. So they all are going to be allocated that. Some people believe that the IMF will hold the escrow. Some people believe that the Fed will hold it. I believe that the Fed will hold it simply based on the notion that the Fed did all the work. They did the task force, they did the McKinsey report, and they did the implementation committee, the steering committee, to get all of it executed. And I don't believe that they did that for someone else like the IMF or anyone else. That's just where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to sell a used car. Just telling you why I believe what I believe. So with that being said, I do believe that after they control what's in escrow, because Miguel Villas has said himself that a lot of what I believe comes from the interview that I've seen from him in 2017 from a long time ago, right? And other areas as well. David Schwartz has publicly commented that they can pre-allocate the escrow. So there's a huge part of where I connect to that. We know that, we know that Miguel Villas had cited that he thought it'd be weird if a software company would hold it. So maybe a different organization, who knows? That made me think in this day and time where we are now, maybe he's talking about PolySign, which may not even been created at that point, right? Which when he said, who knows, it may have been a who knows at that point. You know, who knows how long they've been working on PolySign, or whether PolySign initially started out as what it may be today. I don't know, because these are developmental things, right? And I'm speculating. So I think PolySign is where the escrow will go. We know, at least the little bit we know about PolySign is that it's based around custody, right? And a better solution for it. So maybe the escrow goes there, because I don't believe Ripple will be able to hold it, right? And maybe, just maybe, the Fed has that PolySign belongs to the Fed, right? And maybe that's their new platform, right? Who knows? I could be wrong. I don't know. But these are the things I'm leaning into, because there's strong indicators here that are just won't go away from me, right? The other thing is that you can't find anything about PolySign. I mean, I don't care how hard you look. And I know some people that are amazing at deep dive research. They could solve cold case files. Unbelievable what their talent is. Charles Hunter, great to see you, my brother. Savvy, good to see you. Thanks. Great stream last night. Thank you so much, Savvy. I appreciate you, brother. You know that. Edward Franz Klowski, great to see you. Yeah, what if you're banned from Facebook? Yeah, that's a whole situation too, which is why that's not going to fly with Facebook running things, right? No doubt about it. No doubt about it. So let's keep on with this. So, okay, so understanding the pre-allocation theory and where I'm seeing it, just to give it my point of view, and you guys can do whatever with what you want, right? But I see the Fed controlling it. I see the Fed PolySign belonging to the Fed. I see that being their digital platform getting into this space, possibly. I see the possibility of me being wrong too. But at any rate, that's kind of what I'm leaning into right these days. So with that being said, if they're the ones controlling the escrow, I by no means think that they're going to cut anybody out. What I suggest by that is that someone will have to make sure that it's all not released into the wild, or otherwise all of this will go bust. This is supposed to last for 100, 150, 200 years, right? if not longer. It's supposed to serve the world. Remember what Arthur Brito said in his early memos, right? Scale to 7.5 billion people, this asset. To serve 7.5 billion people. I think a lot of people think haircuts and shoelaces when they hear that. I do not. No more than I would go out here and buy haircut and shoelaces with a barrel of oil or a bar of gold, right? Even if you digitize it. Why would I want to use gold, right? So, yeah, the long game. You know it. Rob Cash, you're a beast, brother. You're a beast. Thank you so much, man. It means so much to me, Rob. You know I love what you do, man. You are my brother from another mother, man. Your energy is so real. I'm going to meet you one day, man. Can't wait. So let's get into this. So, all right, so there's the pre-allocation side, and I believe it's all earmarked and what have you. And I believe that there is a batch of it that is to remain locked up because they need to have some sense of monetary control or policy on how to release it years and decades down the line. They still have to have some to be able to release it. So whatever's out here, I believe is out here, which means that at some point we're going to find out that that's the case. And you could figure out how we find that out. Maybe it's through the lawsuit. Maybe we find out through the lawsuit. Maybe we find out through some other method, right? But aside from that, however we find out or discover that it's pre-allocated, earmarked, and then there's a batch that's just going to remain locked up, would implicate that whatever is going to be used for settlement by everyone who's connected to the system, and everyone will be connected to the system, you will have to use what's available for payments. And now there's a lot of retail investors that'll jump out at $5, 10, 20, 50, you know. Very few people are going to want to stay in until 100, 500, 1,000, 3,000, so on, whatever you believe it'll go to. And I personally believe it will go very high, right? And I believe it will go very high because of the fact that they're only going to be able to use what's currently available. And if everybody's stingy and holding on to it and doesn't want to sell it because it's going to go up, that's better for everybody, right? The other side of the pre-allocation is if it's pre-allocated to these entities, and that means that they have a retail bag like us, right? That's basically what that means. That they're holding a huge ass bag of XRP. They're not going to use that for payment at 27 cents. They're going to hold on to it. Everybody plugs into the system, starts running their utility through the system. This will send the price of XRP through the roof, and then the bag that they're holding in the back will be enormous. And then they can take a portion of that bag, collateralize that bag, and begin to build products to turn around and sell to customers off of that collateralization. Well, here's the good news. As utility continues over the days, months, years, and all that, and it continues to drive the price up, that bag that you collateralized has just got more equity in it, right? It's just gained more collateral that you can continue to borrow against it because it continues to go up, right? So that's the pre-allocation theory in a nutshell right there, right? However, there's another side to this, which is debt. Debt. We've talked about this a couple times already. You know, Michelle Bond and Monica Law just impromptu did a live stream, said, we're working with 50 banks. Good to see you guys. Take care. And then they basically got off the air, right? No scheduled meeting. Just we're working with over 50 governments. I'm not 50 banks, 50 governments, excuse me. So then that triggers a notion too. Okay, what about the notion that they start hanging some of these governments that have really, really bad situations like the U.S., right? And other countries, China, right? And they start to move some of this debt onto the XRP, right? Because you could do that. Mickey B. Fresh is in the house. It's an official Hall of Fame stream. Him and XRP Fitness and Carl Wagner in here with Stack and Zerps. Come on in. What? Damn right, Mickey B. You're awesome, brother. You know that. 416 people in the stream. Hit the like and subscribe. So now we're talking about debt, right? What if, let me have my head for a minute, and I've mentioned this, but what if the trade wars that we're seeing happen are really much deeper negotiations about debt forgiveness? What if the 300 billion extra tariffs that the president was going to put on China are actually a negotiation tactic about trying to get debt forgiveness? Now, why do I say this? Well, I say this because the current president, and believe me, I am not right and I am not left. I am an investor and I follow the money. And I'm looking at this from money. I don't care who shits in what bathroom or whether you wear a skirt and have a mohawk. It ain't none of my business. None of that is none of my business. All you need to be is a human to me. I don't care about nothing else, right? You want to kill a baby, all that stuff. You want to save a baby, that's your business. I don't care about any of that. We're talking about money right now, right? My investment. Social issues mean nothing to me, right? Love for cryptos up in this house, baby. Love you, man. There we go. Love for crypto says the trade renegotiations we are seeing are a telltale sign of a currency reset 100%. You know where I'm going, Love for Crypto. Guys, I don't think we need to introduce Love for Crypto. He goes without any introduction. He needs no introduction. But if you should happen to not know who they are, Kurt and Scott are badass. Go like and subscribe and watch everything. Love you guys so much. You can't imagine how much I've gained and clarity and learned from you. Lee from SBQR Media, Mickey B, XRP Fitness, everybody who's been involved around me, man. I take it all in. So what if these trade negotiations are really much deeper negotiations about debt forgiveness? Listen, I think, and I've shared this on here, I think the current situation with the current president that is in the United States is obviously very good at going through bankruptcies because he's been through a ton of them, right, to a point, to a fault, but that at the same time, he's remained a billionaire by doing it. Well, ain't that a hell of a hat trick, right? So all I'm saying is maybe he's negotiating the debt along with the tool being used, the trade wars, and the point in contention being currency manipulation, which has been going on for decades. That is not breaking news, right? And by the way, guys, whether you know it or not, this crypto space, and specifically XRP, is absolutely, you have to talk about the traditional side of things in order to really get the full parameter of what's happening here. Because this asset is absolutely going to be collateralized by central banks and more than likely governments, right? So, exactly what does China do with $1 trillion in U.S. treasuries they're sitting on? Exactly. And there may be a negotiation of something that looks a lot like, listen, we can't pay it. And I could certainly see the current president walking into the room and saying, you know what, I'm not going to pay it. I'll default on it. What do you think about them apples, right? I'll default on it. So you better talk to me about what we can knock this thing down to that's a chewable, digestible amount, because I'm going to default on it otherwise. And don't play with me, because you know in my public or in my private life, I have defaulted at least 4 times, right? 3 or 4 times. So this is not somebody who won't do it. You don't want to bluff the guy, right? Because, I mean, obviously the guy in his own private business has defaulted and bankrupted more than once. So I'm just saying that this looks a lot to me like it's all intertwined, very much so. And I feel like the trade wars are a tool to try to impress. Think about it. If they were to impose that extra 300 billion, what they're basically telling China is that, fine, you don't want to negotiate the debt down? Fine. Then I'll pay you back with your own dollars because I'm going to hit you with more tariffs and knock out whatever it is I'm supposed to pay you anyway with your own dollars. That's how you get somebody to go, okay, fine, let's make it $500 million, right? Or whatever the case is. And then they would say, and we obviously are going to give you X amount of XRP in forgiveness of this, right? And this one will get it, and that one will get it, and that one will get it. All based on the ratio of the crap that their country's in, and all based on the ratio of the relationship of who controls the flipping escrow, right? Come on in. I don't want to say it. Try and turn a new leaf. So the reality is, to me, is that this is absolutely all connected here with the debt and being able to get everyone on board where they will commit to using or holding the asset XRP and commit to bringing their level of utility into the system, into this bridged path, to bring the liquidity up because of the utility, right? This sends the value of their bags up, and now I can begin to actually put some of that debt on these bags, right? Because I can collateralize that asset and I can start to pay off some of that debt. You know, if somebody held 5 billion XRP and it went to $500, you'd have $2.5 trillion. Did you know that? Yeah, just 5 billion of them. Did you know that? That would $500 would turn that into $2.5 trillion. Is this on? Now let's talk about a price set. Everybody says you can't have a price set. Well, let me ask you a question. If your house didn't have a mortgage on it, and then you went and put $100,000 mortgage on your house, you just put debt onto your home, onto that asset, did you not? Well, I guarantee you the bank can come up with what you're going to pay on that and what the price should be, right? The price should be $100,000 because that's what you borrowed, right? And actually, they're going to make the house be worth more than that because they're not going to lend 100% on the asset. So this leans into a price set now, doesn't it? If we can put some of the debt from the traditional market side, the fiat world, into the asset XRP, it absolutely will guarantee a certain price level because it's going to drive the price up. Because the fact of the matter is, just like if you had a house with no mortgage and then you put $100,000 on that house, well, it's worth at least $100,000 now, is it? Let's get into this, guys. Let's get into this. I absolutely see what Love for Crypto sees. The trade renegotiations are absolutely about dealing with some kind of a global reset. And I don't mind telling you right now, Kurt from Love from Crypto is absolutely a visionary in this space. It is a privilege and an honor to be associated with him, to know that I've had the chance to work with him. I'm going to tell you something. And it gets harder and harder to not see this the way that he has seen this for over a year. Absolutely. Absolutely. Clay Rucker, how you doing this morning? I'm a firm believer, and I think Mr. B XRP has backed me up on this once upon a time on the CT verse, but I believe paying national debt with XRP is completely plausible, and I think so too. Love for Crypto says, stop making me blush, Brad. It's real, brother. It's real. And I'll tell you something. Genius comes in all shapes and sizes and many different facets. And you, my friend, have a genius view of this financial world and a geopolitical view. That's right. And it exists within a refrigeration engineer in Manchester. You're a badass. Don't forget about it. So if you just take a look at the notion of what it means to hang debt on the asset XRP, for one, it's a beautiful thing because you're creating a true sustainable store of value within the asset. No longer this greater fool theory, right? What's up, Andy? So my notion here is this. If you're going to create that true sustainable store of value within the asset, this means as you drive the utility through it, you start to send the price through the roof because of the utility and liquidity that's there, right? They can incrementally borrow against that asset because it's going up in value, which gives them headroom to borrow against it, right? So now they've collateralized the asset even more, right? They're issued a stable coin, right? Which may end up be called the Fed coin at some point. We don't know. Soft peg to the US dollar. I also believe that there'll be some kind of governance network created out of all of this, because that governance network can be set up to where everybody ponies up some XRP, their collateralized USDX, and then they can go out and make products for their customers with that USDX, which may end up be called the Fed coin. I don't know, but I believe that too. I'm leaning into that too now. Well, I think Spanish Fly asks, any idea how high this price needs to be to get the liquidity going, Brad Kimes? I don't. Mike S is in the building. What's up, baby? Spanish Fly, I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is that they need it worse than we want it. And Lord knows we all want it real bad, right? But where my head is here, thank you, Charles. You're amazing, man. I appreciate you, brother. You know that. Where I'm at here is that it feels like to me that they know what that level would be. How else did you get everyone to sign on to it? How did you get 900 million XRP sold last quarter and convince everybody to buy it to the tune of 900 million and no one used it? Well, that's one hell of a sales pitch, isn't it? Well, that salesman's got an office with a window because he's a badass, or she, whoever it is. What I do know is this. The sales pitch is pretty damn good because everybody's getting it, right? Everybody's getting it. We've learned that much. Ripple's working with 50 governments. What? Because they're not going to use XRP long term. They're just going to use the software. If you believe that, I'm telling you right now, there's really a denial of a lot of information that exists out here for all of us, right? That's just as silly to not understand the macro as the fact that, look, I know that they've got to have a legal ruling on XRP, and I believe that may come as sooner than we think too. And the reason I believe that is because they need this. They need this. The markets have been tanking. The inverted curve has happened like, I don't know, 100 times now. It's like it keeps inverting, and it gets worse every time. All I know is that this is always coming back to this place for me. I have tried to dismiss this myself. And I always keep coming back here, not because I want to, but because all of the things that I'm seeing fundamentally out here are pushing me right back to that. How is it that we could be this far into this game and we can't take a price set off the table? Here's the other notion too. A lot of naysayers to a price set believe, well, you can't do a price set because then they won't be able to do the futures products and the ETFs on top of it and all that business. Well, that's not true either. Because if you hang dead on something, it's worth this much now. Well, that doesn't mean it won't still go up. You still got speculative buying, right? You still have institutional buying. All of that's going to affect price and make it go up. So you can still have futures products on it. You can still have ETFs on it, ETNs, call options, swaps, puts if you want, right? And they will. They generate 5 times more money on top of the asset of gold. Those products that I just mentioned take in about 500 billion or 500 million a day. I think it's 500 billion a day on gold and only 100 billion on the actual asset gold itself. Guys, over 500 people in the stream right now. Hit that like and subscribe. We don't even have 200 likes. Are you kidding me? Let's get it done. Let's hit it. So the reality here is we're looking at the utility brought to the system, to the asset and the infrastructure, right? That starts to drive the price up. But because all the players involved bringing the utility to the network get to hold a bag, that sends their price up. At some point, they'll be able to borrow and collateralize that asset because it's gone way up in price. Once they do, they can begin developing the actual financial products for customers based off of that, which will become the new financial infrastructure that exists. More than likely along with a governance network that may look a lot like Kava Labs. Then you build a system where they can control and set interest rates off of that whole financial platform for the globe, right? And this governance could be more like a new world governance panel, right? And not just the Fed. But I see the Fed holding the escrow and possibly making that USDX coin a Fed coin so they can keep the legitimacy that they've had, whether the dollar comes back home or not. And remember, the USDX coin, which I'm suggesting could possibly become the Fed coin, will be soft pegged to $1. So the dollar's not going anywhere. And if it does deal with something, maybe it does get backed by gold, and supported by gold temporarily again. But one thing I feel like we're here. Thank you, the adult in the room. Brad, you piece this together like a surgeon. You are one of the elite, my friend. One among many in this room. Thank you so much. There are a lot of brilliant people in this room. And believe me, I get nervous before I come on here sometimes, even though it looks like I'm very comfortable. Because I know I've got some really smart people in here. And if I don't get this right, they're going to be the first to let me know about it. And I love that. And I love that. I love that. Okay. So